Welcome back, team. Steve here from the Graphite Lab. This is the second part in our two-parter of adjustable capacity planning. If you've not watched part one, please do. It's it's about 15 minutes long, but very well worth it to show you how we got to here. For those of you who already have watched part one, what we're going to go into today is really just taking this adjustable capacity board that we painstakingly built out, right? And really adjusting it, right? Hence the namesake. The whole reason we're doing this is so we can go through and manipulate our schedule on the day of, a couple of days or weeks down the road. Really gives us the freedom to tweak what our CSRs see as available hours to book jobs. I'm only really going to dive into two particular hacks that I like to do here, but there are many different use cases for this. So please feel free, get creative if you'd like. My two favorites though, first and foremost, is planning for a day that you forecast to be absolutely bonkers with business, right? Then the second trick that we're going to do is just show how you can take technician hours and repurpose them for another business unit. I'm going to stick largely just for sake of ease, right? I'm going to work within my plumbing business units. You'll see here, all of my business units are now built out, calculating the hours based around, right? These are just my, my hours set for my technician shifts that I built in part one, plus any base capacity that I set into my business unit groups also in part one, minus the availability thresholds, right? So my base capacity, take out that cushion time in between my jobs that I'm forecasting I'm going to need. And then we get in here and start tinkering with it, right? So this is the fruit of the labor of going into your settings and really building this thing up for success, and by adding technician shifts that we have over here. So go to the next week to show you over here. In our capacity board, right? First, let's get into that first little trick where we can kind of artificially set a day to really open up for us. I am going to pick here, we'll just do it for the Sunday of Easter, I believe, is going to be here on the 9th, I believe is Easter Sunday. Let's say for my plumbing business unit specifically, right? I'm just going to wheel down here. I know full well that any call that I get on Easter Sunday as a plumber, it's going to be, oh, somebody like put something down the garbage disposal that shouldn't have been, or hey, we've got a whole lot of people on their way to our house and my toilet's clogged up. Like, there are some days like what we're talking about here where it's like, ideally I have every free person available to go out there and handle business on my plumbing service department, right? I want everyone ready. I can charge an overtime rate or a holiday rate for everything. And any call that's going to come through is likely going to be pretty valuable. I don't want anything like preemptively scheduled for that day. Like, let's leave it open for emergencies. What you want to do on a situation like this, I'm looking here at Sunday the 9th. I'll go into my plumbing service, and where it says or available time, if let's say someone was to call your office, say, oh, hey, I'd love for you to come out and just give a look at this. Things are, water's having a hard time draining. It's just going a bit slower than usual. Nothing urgent, but hey, would you mind coming out? Call it Sunday at 8. Your CSR usually, looking at this, would see, we have that time available, absolutely. What we want to do is trick this system to say, no, we have 0 of 0 availability all day long. So this way, whenever somebody's calling your office and says, hey, what times do you have open Sunday? Your CSR goes to book it. We are full capacity here, 0 of 0, but that means it's booked up. Whenever you see this red here, right, we're booked. This is it. You cannot book on Sunday. Now, your CSR has avoided booking jobs all day on this day that you know to be a pretty busy one, right? Suddenly, when you come in the morning, you can go in and say, not only am I going to jack this schedule back up, I'm going to go through, pull my maintenance people out, right? So I'll take these folks off as well, right? And we'll just pretend we did this as well a minute ago. So we've got no availability for maintenance or for service. Now, I can go through on those 8 hours available. Suddenly, I go here, and I just set it right back to where it should be, right? Now I've got a sudden boon in availability. So whenever you look at your or when you look at your call booking screen all week long, I've thought we were booked solid as a CSR. Suddenly, yeah, any call that comes in, we can take it because we budgeted for this. We forecasted that this was going to be a busy day, right? So we artificially sunk our availability through the morning of, and this is a vital, vital, vital thing to mention here. It's not automatic. Like if you miss your alarm on Sunday morning, you still have zero availability that whole day, right? You need to manually go in on the day of and jack this thing back through the roof in order for this to work correctly. But it's a very, very, very nice trick if you can pull it off, you know? Another very common use case for this, if you know that there is going to be a cold snap coming, right? Like it's even, I'm down in Georgia. We were sitting like, mid-March, things start warming up down that way. And then suddenly we hit like 15 degrees, 11 degrees out of nowhere. If I were a plumber and I suddenly get this huge call in of burst pipes and these like buildings that I've been servicing, things are just pouring down into the lobby. It's awfully nice for me to not have any visits booked that day where I can just send my technicians out and have them work their magic and things like that. If you have a big hot streak that's coming up, right? And you know the first hot day is going to be on the 12th. All week long, you may want to go through here and artificially deflate your availability that day. Make it look like you don't have a ton. And then when that day comes, you walk in that morning and you just start juicing your board back up to where it needs to be. Now, that's option one. And it actually leads us to our first best practice. I might as well mention it now. For this purpose, I strongly recommend that you do not have everybody at your company able to manage this board. So you want to restrict that to only the folks in your office that you trust with forecasting, setting up this schedule, right, and manipulating it for days, weeks in advance, and that you will trust to walk in the morning of and set it back to where it needs to be. Because again, it's not going to happen automatically. If I went through and I deflated all these numbers, right, saying like, oh, Easter Sunday is going to be a big one if we want it to be. If no one shows up and does this, we still have 0-0. It's not like it's going to automatically snap back. So that is one tip that I like to go with. A second one is if you want to repurpose these hours, right? So I've got plumbing maintenance here, right? And I've already gone through and shrunk them down. Let's say we're at the time of the year, we've done our tune-ups. We don't really need the maintenance techs anymore. I have what, 2, 4, 6, 8 extra hours on my hands that I can now go into service and just say, yeah, let's repurpose them here and put those technicians into what is service. I'll just have my maintenance techs go out and do service jobs instead. So it inflates how much you see in service while just taking them off the old job, putting them onto a new one. It is very much like it's kind of a trick that you want to pull within one trade, if you have it where, hey, we're at a very slow point for like HVAC. If you're sitting around, like March maybe, right? April, you may want to get all of your visits done within a 1 to 2 month span. Your September, October's, times like that, right? It makes a lot of sense then to say, you know what? Let's just take 1 hour off of every slot that we have here of service and just repurpose it for maintenance. Let's just have our service techs go run maintenance calls. Our CSRs will have an abundance of maintenance calls they can book that they otherwise would not be able to. So those are like 2 go-to hacks with this system. Again, for best practice, make sure that not everybody has this permission in place, and make sure that whoever does have it knows, walk in the morning and make sure you reset this board to what it actually needs to look like. Is the one catch with this thing. It's not going to catch back up with itself. Now, if you're looking at a board that's this big, you can go here and also filter it down and just say, hey, I only want to see my HVAC stuff. Like I'm really just worried about that right now. At this stage, you can go through and manipulate your board accordingly. If you'd like to do bulk edits, right, and just say, all right, for this one, this one, this one, this one, and just adjust this way, you can go through, start inflating that way, submit that, and now it reflects this way. I hope this was helpful, gang. This is, I mean, it's a must-have tool. The world before and after this, and otherwise you're leaving like sticky notes saying, hey, try not to book on the day after Thanksgiving. At the end of the day, it's a very, very, very nice way of forecasting your board and tweaking it accordingly so that you're able to actually game the system, so to speak. I really look forward to speaking with y'all. If you need a hand coaching, give us a call here. And yeah, have a great day.